Welcome to Last Neanderthals podcast. My name is Ziauddin Yousafzai.
And my name is Wali Khan. You may not know us yet, but that doesn't really matter. All you need to know is we are the last Neanderthals. We are dedicated to having interesting and engaging conversations with individuals who have a lot of experience and an immense amount of knowledge. We hope to learn from these people and grow as human beings. We want you to listen and grow with us too. So come along the journey and evolve with us.
In today's episode, we are joined by Ziauddin Yousafzai. Ziauddin, first of all, is an incredible father to my brother and my sister Malala. He's also a great author and an education activist. Today, we speak to my father about many interesting topics. We speak to him about patriarchy, what is feminism, and his childhood. We also hear the unheard stories of what he went through when Malala got married. And also, we spoke about his lifetime challenge with stuttering. So in today's episode, we have got never heard stories for you, the side of my father that the media doesn't get to see, and we found it very enjoyable listening to him in this conversation, and we hope you do as well. Thank you so much for listening. Welcome to Last Neanderthals podcast. Today we're joined by my father, Ziauddin Yousafzai, father of Malala Yousafzai, an activist, and a great father. How you been?
I'm very well. Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
That's okay. So, as Khoshal mentioned, you are his father. He always says how great of a father you have been. But going from fatherhood, we want to start with your childhood. Can you tell us a little bit about what that was like?
Yeah. So all fathers are children once upon a time. So I was born in 1969, and I was born and grew up in a small village in the northwest of Pakistan. The district I was born was Shangla, Swat, and I grew up in their small village with an older brother, like eldest in the family, and with five sisters. And as a child, I enjoyed nature a lot because we had all natural beauty all around me, like mountains, rivers, lush green fields, and four seasons. Very culturally rich life, like with um, local cultural rituals. Um, so life was very beautiful. But at the same time, as a child, I could see like two sets of parenthood in my own family, one for boys, one for girls. And could see that discrimination between the boys and girls. I had I was given milk cream in the morning tea. My sisters uh, were not, and I had more. Uh, sorry, excuse me. I had more clothes, more pair of shoes as compared to my sisters, and the worst discrimination that my sisters went through was their deprivation from education. While I was following my dreams in a classroom and I was in a school, all my five sisters did not go to school. And the reason was, though there were quite enough school for boys, but hardly any school for girls. So not only the society or my parents are they were patriarchal, but the government was also patriarchal. Like they did not build girls' schools. So that was my early childhood life, and I grew up in a typical patriarchal family, patriarchal society. I was like special because I was a boy. Because of my gender, I was taken care of. I had my own difficulties, my own challenges as a boy, but in terms of gender, I was lucky in the context of that society that I was not born as a girl, because as a boy, I had all those possible opportunities of um, education, of freedom, of traveling, and of having some dreams in my life.
So the activist spark in you came about at a very young age, I imagine. Also, I find that really interesting. So there's probably a lot of families like this where they can see their sisters being discriminated, especially back then when you were growing up. But what do you think was the stimulus for you that made you think this is not okay, this is unacceptable, whereas other people uh, will just be fine with it, they will ignore it, especially because I remember you saying that it was at a very young age where you thought this is unfair.
I think it was not at very young age. I wish it could have been. Otherwise, I would be able to at least um, like help in education my two younger sisters. Like three were older than me and two were younger, very close to my age, like 2 years and 3 years younger. It became like a same age, but still, like this realization of equality, of women empowerment and girls education came later in my life when I was like graduated from my A levels, and I was able to read more books and I had more exposure to the to the town life, to the city life. Like I moved from Shangla to Swat, where there was more freedom for girls and women. And then I realized that one of the reasons that I could see some women uh, active in their social political life and who were able to come out of their homes was education. Like I could see only educated women and girls outside of their homes, in hospitals, in teaching in schools. So that also changed my mind. Like this is possible. I saw some role model in the community, in the outside life. But basically, I was a feminist like quite very young age, because I remember that I wrote a poem and its title was The Promise. And I made a promise with girls and women that I will be like, at that time I was still patriarchal. Like in that poem, I tell that I will fight for you and I will make you free and I will help you in your freedom, and you will just break all these shackles of slavery. And I taunted the men of the society. Like the poem is still there in my Pashto book. So I wrote it in when I was hardly 18 years old. So at that time, I was quite like very much about like equality, equality, and I wanted to see women and girls to be more visible in life.
So the more educated you got, the stronger your belief that women should have more rights, and the more of a feminist you became as well.
Yeah, you are very right. Basically, if you ask me that what was the thing, basically, like what changed me from that patriarchal man who grew up in patriarchy, and what changed my patriarchal mindset to a mindset that believes in an egalitarian family, or who believes in equal rights for men and women. So my answer will be education. Like education changed me into the kind of person that I became later in my life. And I always tell that education gave me values. It gave me the value of love, respect, equality, the empathy, and it made my inner being beautiful. It gave me values. So I always tell that any system of pedagogy or any system of education, uh, or any quality of education that does not impart equality, there must be something wrong with the quality of education. Like any education system that does not impart the value of equality in our children, there must be something wrong with the quality of education. So one of the
Manifesto or principle.
yeah principle should be that education system should give values, and if it does not impart values, it's just about learning like some basic skills about some language, or like it just teaches math, sciences. So it is the part of education and it has its own scope. But in the bigger uh, in the bigger scope of human life and in the bigger picture of human life, education should have this system. In the curriculum we should have a system that where we are able to impart values of humanity, because that's very important.
I totally agree. Like the when we look at the Western, societies, and the top universities in the world, right? Even if you're there in the East, they give a lot more importance to humanitarian subjects. Wherein our culture is like you either become a doctor, engineer, or a lawyer. So people are like very, the scope of what you can become and who you can become is very, very small. And like understanding the human nature and the human side of things, right? Like empathy, um, love, you know, dealing with jealousy, dealing with, trauma, all the things of that nature, because our people have also gone through a lot of trauma, whether it's house abuse, things of that nature. So to break those shackles, you make a very good point that it requires the humanitarian education as well.
I think even the education here in these Western countries is lacking, to be honest, because it
Yeah.
churns out employees, it churns out factory workers. It doesn't have enough of an emphasis on things like you mentioned, like imposing these values and principles on people. But again, that could also be a negative, because what if it imposes the wrong type of values on people? So it is a difficult balance. And one thing you mentioned was the patriarchy. So for those who don't know, what would you consider to be the patriarchy?
So for me, patriarchy means a social, economical, political system, or a system of life where men's rule, where men are dominant, where men have freedom to make choices, not only for themselves, but for women as well. Patriarchy is a way of life which is based on inequality, where women are lesser human beings. They are not declared as lesser human beings. And in terms of language, they say, "Oh, we respect you," and they are respectable. And sometime in their rhetorics, they say, "Our mothers and sisters," and blah blah blah. Hollow slogans are also associated with that. But in real life, when it comes to politics, when it comes to social life, when it comes to the economy, women are marginalized. Even their very identity is questioned. Like they are not given a right to their right identity. Their names become like a social taboo. No one name their wives and the names of their sister. They don't want to share the name of wives and sisters and daughters with other men. Everything becomes very private, because uh, unfortunately, patriarchy, um, patriarchy sexualizes a woman, because for them that is just somebody, it is her personality is squeezed into like kind of an opposite thing of attraction of for men, or something that produces children or cook in the kitchen. So that belittling of the women, that dehumanization of women and girls is patriarchy. And then it varies from society to societies. Somewhere we have extremely narrow patriarchy where women don't have any right, like they even don't get education, they are not given educational opportunities. There are a lot of taboos. They can't choose their life partner. They are just um, uh, put as you put somebody behind the bars. They are put behind the four walls of a home. They can't go out freely. Similarly, with the like as they grow, like the only dream that parents like have for them is to get them married as early as possible. So all these things which limits women's life is patriarchy. And I tell in patriarchal societies, most often women die as if they had never been born. Like the life that we have, where every human being should have a right to live a full-fledged life, having an education, having freedom to travel, having freedom to make their own choices, having to do a job, having the right to earn for themselves, having to make a career in any field of life. Okay, so all these opportunities are like they are deprived from them through social norms. Yeah, they are discouraged somehow.
I feel like it stems from a place of insecurity, like you said, for a lot of these men, where they don't want their woman to be seen, or you know, or what would another family think if you educate your daughter, or if you educate your wife, or if she's a school teacher. It's like people feel some kind of shame when they're empowering their women. So did you have any of that when Malala was born and you put her in schooling system, or when you started taking her to events with you? Was there any judgment from society?
It like in Swat, it was a social norm to send girls to school. It was not something that I was the first person like who did that. Like people were sending girls to school, and there were when Taliban banned girls' education, 50,000 girls were banned from education. Means that girls were going to school. It was not just one Malala. Um, the difference was that Malala was probably the first girl in our family who was getting an education in a serious way, like with all her dreams and with all kind of uh, like as boys get. So uh, she was first in family. Like my sister did not go to school. Turpeke's sisters did not go to school. So Malala was kind of one of the first girls who was getting a proper education. The difference was that in my fatherhood from other fathers, like there were other fathers, few, but like we were not in many in number, that I believed not just only Malala's education. Education was social norm, but freedom was not the social norm. So I went a step further. I gave her, as I always tell people when ask me what special I did, I tell them, don't ask me what I did, ask me what I did not do. I didn't clip her wings. So I not only put her in a school to get quality education, standard education, and I was so keen about her education, but also I didn't clip her wings. She had the freedom to dream. She had the freedom to think for herself. She had the freedom to become what she wanted to be. So that freedom is not there then. So patriarchy has layers. Like in patriarchy, some people educate their daughters up to primary. Even Taliban have given girls permission to be educated until grade 6. But after grade 6, it is the end of their education, class dismissed. So some people say, okay, it's okay if she learns until if she goes up to grade 10. So that's fine. But ultimately, she will be married and she will go to somebody else's home. Why she should become a doctor? Why she should go to a university? There is no need of like graduations and stuff. So, like by social design, she is prevented from that opportunity. She is prevented from that freedom. So, for me, as I was thinking, Khushal, Atal are many XYZ men and boys can do in our society, Malala should do that. And then it was the reason that how she was publicly very visible. She went to different media programs, she gave speeches. I remember that once there was a debate competition between the girls section and the boys section, like there was a declamation contest, and Malala was going there, and one of her friends also took part in speech competition. And next day, her brother came. I won't name her. Her brother came and he told me that my sister won't go to a boys' school. I said, why? Because there will be boys and she will be seen by boys and also she will see the boys. So that's not our family norm. We don't do this. So that was, as Malala always, she told in her film that I was not different, but my parents were different. If I had been born in any other family, then I would have three children. Like he told it at the age of 17 or 18 something. So I'm making it so long, but anyway, I mean that my parenthood was not just a right to an education. It was a right to every right, a right to every right, every basic human right, and beyond that.
But one thing I do find really interesting is, how do you think a society like that supported, a lot of people in there supported Benazir Bhutto to become the first female prime minister of Pakistan, and countries like America still don't have female presidents and things like that. So what was the like relationship with her?
That's a kind of different thing. I can't explain it in words, but my explanation will be that, um, like it's the class thing. Like when the lower class people, like the middle class, lower middle class people, when they see something done by the upper class, like Benazir Bhutto was from the elite class. Her grandfather was like the ruler of a state. Her father was the prime minister of Pakistan and one of the most powerful and charismatic leaders of the country. They were very rich as well. So, common people, okay, they accept those women in power. So the and even they adore them, they respect them. They also like hang their pictures on their walls. Uh, that's why I wrote in my book, and Let Her Fly, that I want to tell men in the rural and urban and poor communities like mine one, I want to tell them that it's okay that you idealize or idolize what it is called Benazir Bhutto, Maryam Nawaz, and even now Malala is acceptable for so many, and they say, "Oh, Malala is great." Like she accepted, she is accepted that she should be free, she should be that kind of famous girl, and she should be respected, and blah blah blah. But why don't you see these Benazirs and Mariams and Malalas and at your own fireplace in your own home? Like that's my question to them, and they should think on it. Like you accept someone who is of the same gender, and you accept her as your leader, but you have like a girl in your own home, your sister or daughter, and you don't accept her. So that is a dilemma, or that is a kind of something that people should think about it.
Yeah, it's a contradiction, and it is really weird because a lot
Yeah,
of people do.
it's weird. Yeah, yeah. So that is my question as well. So I think, but I did not do that. I believed that Malala is like could be the most important influential person in the world, and I believed in it. Like I mean, when Malala did the class dismiss, she took part in the class dismiss documentary, and the editor of the documentary, like the maker or the producer of the documentary class dismiss, it basically covered that it covered or it featured that time when Taliban banned girls' education. So those days were recorded, and the story was viral, and it was published by New York Times. And afterwards, like he wrote me an email and told me Malala is amazing. And in response, I was in a lighter mood, said, yes, of course, she deserves the Nobel Peace Prize.
Oh,
And then it became, wow.
you thought she, when you said she would be the most influential person in the world, you thought that back then as well, when she was just
Of
growing up.
course, even before any attack on Malala, and we were not expecting that, but I was sure that Malala will be something in her life.
Wow.
I was 100% sure. And you see, like until 2012, 9 October, like if you go on Google before any attack on Malala's life, at that age, while she was 14 or 15 years old, she was the most famous girl in Pakistan.
Yeah.
The most famous girls. She was on every television and she was talked about by so many people. Even she was known outside Pakistan. So that was the reason that I was predicting that yes, like yes, she deserves a Nobel Peace Prize. So
That's amazing.
we never wished for it the way it happened. Like she went to a huge trauma and kind of that incident happened. But even if that hadn't come in our life, Malala would have been a very influential, a very important person in her life.
You know how you highlighted that she was quite known in Pakistan. Like, I've heard from people I've even met in real life that are like, why did your sister get special treatment? Right? Like, why did she get the care she deserved? And, you know, what has she done? Like, she just got shot. Like, very cynical stuff I've heard from people, whether it's online or this one person at uni said,
Really?
yeah, the uni said it because they were basically, you know, when you're trying to have debate with someone, but they get very heated and then don't know
Yeah.
how to debate. So they attack you personally. And I got quite emotional. I was like, you know, my sister was speaking when barely anyone was speaking at that time, right? Against Taliban, these forces. She was already quite known. But I mean, I didn't have to prove myself to her, but like, it's like, of course, it shouldn't be the case that when other women who do suffer, they deserve opportunities, they deserve the care, they deserve whether it's medical treatment, psychological treatment. But then to see people like dragging their own person down, you know, it was very heartbreaking. I wanted to ask you, how do you feel about that, you know, Malala has, you know, done so much for Pakistan, I believe, and then her own people, minority, have, you know, not been in support of her.
So basically, it could it this this might have many answers. Like, I mean, you can look at it from many angles. There are people who disagree with her, like the values she stands for. Like, just think of a patriarchal person who is extremely against women's freedom, women's education, women's liberation. And he sees this young girl speaking on big platforms and like breaking the patriarchy and standing tall as a woman, as a girl. Why will he be accepting her that soon? It will take time. It will be shocking for them. So then you understand, like if you look at it from their angle, then you realize that yes, like it takes time. Like when people can digest any change, and that change which is so big, which is so um, powerful. Sometime I see like on social media, important people like they will, if something is happening in Palestine, Gaza, they will somehow mention Malala in that. Um, and then you realize that oh, like she's there on their nerves somehow, like they are thinking of her, which is in a way positive thing because she stands for a change. And Malala herself says that I don't ask anything from anyone for my own self. The only thing I want is to send your girls to schools. The only thing I want is to see a world where a girl can learn and lead. The only thing I want is to see a world where every girl have an access to free, safe, and quality education. So that is one angle, that people who disagree with her values, they don't agree with her, and sometimes they hate her. Also, there is somewhere the jealousy factor as well. Like, you, there are people who think that fame um, are being celebrated, are being known is our monopoly. Only we are the people, we are the elite class of this country, we are feudal lords, we are very, very rich, dirty rich, we are handsome as well, we are tall as well. Why not me? Why her? So it also comes in a way like, um, uh, I have came across like people who were very good friends of mine, uh, and one person, I will not name her, but afterwards when Malala became that big name, she was so jealous, like she started maligning us. So, and I knew that because um, when the uh, private channels, they run those spicy news, Malala the princess of Swat, so they can't really, it's difficult for them to accept it. So but the problem is that with the passage of time, people accept you, people then accept the things you stand for. We need to be patient.
Hmm.
It's not about them, it is about us. Like, how, what do people say? That's their way to say, that's their compulsion, some compulsion, or
Reaction.
their reaction, or their mindset that they express, or their hearts they expose, or their minds they expose. The important thing is that how do we take it? Do we take it deep to our heart and having those bad feelings of, God forbid, of revenge or hate? No, not at all. We wish good for everyone. As Malala said that even um, like if you give me a gun and tell me that you kill the guy who attacked me, I won't. And I want education for the daughters of Taliban as well. So that is the approach. We we know what we need to do, and we do what we are doing. So that's important.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that is a very powerful message, and me and Khushal have spoke about this before as well. I think sometimes it's useful to understand the situation those kind of people might be in as well, because if someone is like happy and content with their own life, they will not be hating on someone else or
And we
making.
are all human beings. Sometimes I think, okay, if Malala was somebody else's daughter and I was like a different guy, what would I have been? Like, I'm supportive to all women and girls in the world, wherever they are, but and right from the day one, but still I'm a human being. So
Yeah,
we should give space to other people. Where are they from? What is their background? And and also, honestly, in a country where the standard of education is very low, in a country where there is no idea of critical thinking in curriculum, in a country which is so rich with conspiracy theories about everything, then in that country you will have sympathy for the people.
Yeah.
Honestly, the general and the national character is the kind of we have become, that we think of myths as reality and reality as myth. And you just go and search for it, really. Somebody will be saying like fairy tales, And everybody, and so many people, sorry, like some people on stage from a pulpit in the mosque or on a television screen or in a school or anywhere, they will be saying things which you will say, oh, really? Is this can happen? It is metaphysical. It is not possible. But the people who listen to that, they will believe in those myths as real, very, very real, that this is real. But when you tell them the realities, they say, oh, these are myths.
Yeah.
I think, like I said, that is a very powerful message, and it helps us to like understand we shouldn't judge people.
Ah.
We should
In
understand.
the beginning, when we come to the UK, and I was in Bacha Khan lecture in London, we organize it every year. And after I spoke, and we had this Q&A, one person from the audience asked me that people think that you are an agent, agent of the West or agent of something. And I told him that, yes, I'm an agent. Yes, I know I'm an agent. I'm an agent, but I'm an agent of what? That's important. I'm an agent of a change. And we all should be agent of not somebody or some group or some agency. We should be an agent of better change, whether it's in health or education or social behavior or, environment, climate, so many other stuff. So that's important. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think empathy in those situations gets you very far.
Yeah.
Because I felt very hurt and betrayed by my country when everyone was basically hating. I'm like, I went through this much trauma, and for you guys to say that, right? When it's someone who spoke up for your kids, my sister spoke up for your kids, your sisters, your mothers, your fathers, and like you're hating on your own, like it was very heartbreaking. But like you said, I think patience and forgiveness is the way.
Yeah.
And understanding that most of these people, they don't have the opportunities that many are blessed with, and they don't have the the financial stability where they don't have the education, or they don't have the right facilities to have critical thinking and have basically that good spiritual health, that they don't get jealous, that they don't feel hate, or even if they feel those things, they don't go and act on those emotions. And this really takes us to that point that we talked about earlier, that emotional education, that even in these countries, like you said, is neglected. That's something that needs a lot of work.
Yes.
And that is quality education, because you can have the greatest technologies, right? But if people are internally broken, they're gonna misuse that. If it's religion, if it's a ideology like communism, capitalism, if the people are broken, if they have no control over their emotions, you can come up with the greatest technology or the greatest solution. People are gonna just weaponize it.
Yeah.
Definitely. And so then moving on to recent events, or somewhat recent, Malala has recently got married, and that's your oldest child, your first child that's got married. What was that like for you?
I'm so happy, honestly, because that's a big step in your children's life. Because from there they began their own family. Like this transition from be the part of family and becoming a family. It is a big step in life, both for boys and girls. And in Malala's case, it was like quite a challenge. Challenge in a way that Malala's life is very robust, and she is very busy. Like it's difficult for her to be a traditional wife, kind of. Or her she needed a not just a partner. She needed someone who believed in her mission, someone who be her strength. And luckily, we found that guy, Asar Muhammad Asar Malik. He is such a beautiful human being, and he is like, I should say, uh, before him we were five, and now we are six. Our family is of six people. Um, so some people thought that that transition may be very difficult for me, like they thought because of Malala's and my very close relationship. Uh, People thought, I mean, some that, oh, he might be going through a very, uh, like, through a very difficult uh, feeling or difficult transition, like kind of Malala parting from home and living somewhere else. Uh, but for me, it was like a great moment of happiness. And it was kind of fulfillment that I wanted Malala to be happy, always. I want Khushal to be happy, Atal to be happy. So when you have that fundamental approach to parenthood is different, then it becomes very easy for you. If it is not of possession, if it is not of belonging, the problem is that we raise our children for ourselves. And I also do it some stage, how somehow, um, but not in that way. Like I will tell them, oh, get good grades, or choose this subject or that subject. But I never thought that, oh, I wish Khushal to be like a rich person, that I have more money. Or I wish Khushal to be very influential person, that through his influence I can. No, not at all. Um, I always wished my children whatever I wish for them, like desired. I wished it for them. Like how can I explain
It
it?
does make sense.
It
You
makes
want
sense.
us to be happy and you want us to make ourselves proud. And ultimately, that makes us proud because we get to choose our own path. Definitely. So, how did that conversation go when Johnny first asked you that she wants to marry Asad? What did that feel like?
No, basically, I had always this joke with her about marriage and stuff, and I told her when she went to Oxford. So I told her, okay, Johnny, you are going to Oxford, and you were all in all girls schools in Boston High School girls. In Pakistan, you was like in Pakistan you were in girls school. In Birmingham, you were in all girls high school. Now you will be moving to Oxford, and there will be boys, and it is a co-education system. So in the first year, you should just look at the boys, how they walk, how they talk, and in the second year, you just say hi, and in the third year, you bring them home, bring that guy home you like. It didn't happen that way. It was just a joke from my side. But Asar, was not in Oxford. Basically, he is from Lahore, and he had a friend in Oxford, and that's how they met there in Oxford. And then they liked one another. And but for the first time, I saw him when he was brought here to our home. Uh, and at that time, Malala didn't tell us, like, even they were not in that relation as well. But I told Torpeke that Malala has a lot of friends, but this man, this boy is different. Yeah,
Parents always know.
Yeah.
They pretend to feel like, play ignorant.
yeah.
Yeah, they always know.
And I was right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's an amazing story, I think.
Like the first boy in Malala's friends that I doubted, and I doubted rightly.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's amazing. What about Khushal? Do you have any concerns about this guy?
Khushal is great, man. I mean, he's now a man.
How I know this? I'm a great.
I love he in our family. He is more a family person. He's like me. He will give us hugs. He will kiss me and his mother. He will make beautiful noise. like
Torment them
sounds of
of a rooster.
like he is really a family boy, caring, very much caring, and yeah, this is good. All three children are very different. Malala, Atal, and Hushal. Uh, they are different.
So there's no age limit on me, no like, oh, first year, do this. It's like any age I can get married.
It's up to you.
Do you think there will be any point where you come in and you're like, Khushal, you're getting a bit old now. You should start
I need
researching.
grandkids.
Yeah.
You know,
Uh,
pick up your slack.
I don't think that I feel any like kind of. Sometimes we feel lonely because Torpeke and I, but Khushal is at home these days, so we both are being. Atal has moved to Sheffield and he's studying in computer and AI. Malala is in London. Asar and Malala living there, and Khushal is home. Sometimes we feel lonely, but that doesn't mean that we pressurize them to have wives and bring children.
I feel pressured, guys. I'm joking.
I believe in individual freedom in a way that like we should not be mean, like telling someone, oh, you marry that I should have grandchildren. It's kind of also like you wish something for yourself. Yeah.
I feel like those people are not prepared to be parents, because a lot of parents do want to live through their kids. They the dreams they had for themselves, they like impose them on their kids, which is, you know.
Like I would be very happy and I would be overjoyed if I have grandchildren, but that does not mean that if I don't have, so there is like it will be a disaster and I will. Some people say it's my arman and it's my long cherished desire to be a grandfather. I don't have that feeling now. I don't know. Maybe if it comes, because you can't guarantee anything about your longings and desires, and things change. But for the time being, I'm fine.
Did you have any concerns about Malala getting married at any point?
Before marriage or after marriage, we mean?
Both.
Both.
Before marriage, I had like my biggest concern was that who will be her life partner? Will that person would be able to understand her? Will he be just a person maybe attracted by his physical appearance, and then in reality he's not the kind of person that Malala was looking for? Or will he be really in content, in character, will be the person that we are dreaming of, right? But we are so glad that Asar is a kind of person who we share values with. He is very supportive, and there is a lot of change in Malala's life. Um, like he is a much better partner as a husband than me as a father, I'll say. I mean, some people say, no, you did this, you did that. That was my responsibility. But the happiness that she has in Asar's company, like especially her health has improved a lot. She takes exercises, she plays golf. Um, uh, she is more involved in life and its activities.
Yeah.
I can't imagine
yeah.
Malala playing golf.
So
See, that's so special because
that is Asar.
yeah.
He's funny. He has a dry weight. Dry weight, it's called like.
Yeah, he's very
Yeah,
funny.
he is full of his sense of humor is very sharp. He makes her laugh. He makes all of us laugh. So, and at the same time, you will find him one of the most composed and calm and intelligent person. Like um, he is very sensible.
Yeah.
He's very
And
sensible,
very honest as well.
honest,
Very
sensible,
honest. That was my favorite
truthful.
quality about him.
One of the things that Malala told me about Asar was that, like before marriage, when his family proposed her, so we had this conversation, and she told me that, look, Abba, this boy is truthful. He always speaks the truth. And if he tells me one story 10 times, he will be telling it in the same version. There is no change in it.
That shows how much attention she
I
gets.
was not
Scary.
like expecting that from Malala, that she will be looking at to those, like in youth. Usually young people, they are more about, um, maybe, I mean, it has changed now, but in our age, like when we were 18 or 20, 23, we were more about people's external stuff, like
Like
features,
looks and
Looks,
stuff.
how
yeah.
long her locks and hair are, how beautiful her
It's
eyes
still
are.
it's still the same.
It's still the same, yeah. Nothing's changed. But actually, it's
But
probably been
like
exaggerated, enhanced.
like Malala, the first thing that she was impressed was his truthfulness. I don't know, maybe already like she was happy with the guy, like in the traditional um, aspects of one's personality. But the thing that she shared with me was, she told that she speaks the truth.
The final thing that I wanted to talk about, like, it's kind of like a story. So the first time I met you, I was really inspired and motivated by you, because one thing that stood out to me was that you had this stutter, but it seemed like you didn't care at all. You would just continue to say the same word.
Yeah, that is very, like, honestly, throughout my life, I am 54 years old, and as I have come to know consciously that I can talk, and I have started talking, I have started stuttering since then. So stuttering and talking, like I start talking with stuttering. I never, um, like in any part of my life, I never saw my life without stuttering. Stuttering became part and parcel of my personality. And throughout my life, I fought with the words, and I fought with the world as well, to some extent, with the bad world. But I'm very glad to few things, like when any person who finds herself or who find themselves in my situation, if the children are listening to this um, conversation, I think three people can help you if you are a stutterer. The first one is you. And I will say you because if you are not helping yourself, then nobody can help you. And if you find yourself as a stutterer, and you will find yourself in a difficult situation, obviously, because when you stutter, people mimic you. They uh, make sometimes joke of you. They repeat the way you speak. It's painful, especially for children. They don't like that weakness cause a bully, like it invites bullies. uh, I shouldn't call it weakness, but they, I mean, if I sugarcoat with any word, but that speech impediment or that speech difficulty, I should say, their speech difficulty invites bullies to bully you, and being bullied is painful. And then when you are bullied, then you have two options. Number one is to keep quiet, lip tight, not say anything, that you not stutter, and you protect yourself from being bullied or being joked off or being mimicked. And the second option is that you say, no, I'll speak. I'll stutter, but I'll speak. Forget about these people. If they mimic, do it. Let them do. If they joke of me, if they like bully me, it's okay, but I will speak because I have to speak. And because I I can't help without speaking. It's important for my life. So that's why I tell people that I do stutter, but I do speak. So the first person should be the person, like you should be the first person to change this. The second person could be your parents. My father was the man who helped me, who changed my weakness into strength when he wrote the first speech for me. And I asked him that I want to be speaking in morning assembly or in a speech declamation, in a declamation contest, in a speech competition. And he was shocked because in front of my father, I used to get very anxious, and extreme nervousness came to me when I spoke in front of him. But he wrote it for me, and then
Siri interrupted.
okay, so the parents can help. Is I asked my father to write a speech for me, and in the beginning he was shocked, and he told me that you utter one sentence in a minute or a long time, and you stutter and stutter and stutter, and how you will be giving a speech? And I say, you don't worry at all, you will just write. I memorized that speech, and on the speech day when I just went to the podium, my eyes were open, but I couldn't see anyone. I was so anxious, and I was so nervous that I couldn't see anyone. But when I finished my speech and I came back to my chair, so one of my teachers came. So the people who can help you then are your teachers. And he whispered in my ear and he told me, Ziauddin, you spread the fire. He said it in Pashto. Like he spoke so well. So you, your parents, and the teachers can help. And the boy who was a stutterer in a primary school, in a middle school, I became like a first class debater.
Wow.
Not only of my school, but of the whole district. I stood first in a district tournament where the district of Swat was not the small one, it was big. Buner, Shangla, Swat, the present Swat, it was all a big Swat, district Swat. And I stood first. One time I stood second, two times I stood first in district tournament. And after that, wherever there was a speech competition, my father took me everywhere. And the first person, when I made a point from stage, he used to be the first person to clap hand for me. I loved him. May God bless his soul and eternal peace. Because he was such a great father. If I had a different father, really, I wouldn't have been sitting in front of you or speaking on so many things, especially on education, because speaking is very important. It's it connects with you with other human beings, and it's through this you communicate with the world. So it carries you carry on your mission with your words. So really, my father empowered me with this skill of communication, and my teachers as well.
Like I said, even to me, as someone who doesn't have a stutter, it was so inspiring to just see you like powering through and just not caring. So I think that message that you've just conveyed, I think that can be attributed to any problem people are going through. First, you have to help yourselves, then the people who love you can help you, and also your teachers in education. And I think
You summed up very well. Yeah.
for an education podcast, I think that is the perfect way to end it.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you so much for joining us and just sharing everything with us.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
We've learned a lot. Thanks for listening, everyone.